All right, everyone. So if you haven't watched one of these before, there is a local comic show around where I am. It's about monthly. And so I've had some great luck finding some awesome books at this. I've met some awesome people, talked to a bunch of people at these. So I'm back again. Let's see what I can find. All right, so another successful show. Bought about $1,000 in books, and this is like preview one. It's really cool that I'm glad I picked up. So yeah, we'll get back to the house and we'll check out these books.
A few moments later.
All right, so we are back from the show and picked up 4 books. Like I said, spent about $1,000. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that show. And one of the books that I picked up, I am going to be sending in to get pressed and cleaned and then graded. And that brings us to the sponsor of this video, the Comic Book Presser. If you've watched my CGC unboxings on this channel, almost all of those books were pressed and cleaned by the Comic Book Presser before getting graded by CGC. He does incredible work on all kinds of books. I've had him press Golden Age books from 1940 all the way up to moderns from 2020, Silver Age magazines, and everything in between. He has very reasonable prices and is also a CGC certified dealer and will pass his savings on to you if you have him submit your books through him. If you're looking to get some books pressed and clean, make sure to check him out on Instagram and through his website. His contact information is in the details of this video. All right, we're back. So like I said, picked up 4 books. It was a lot of fun. Got to talk to a bunch of different vendors while I was there. It was really interesting talking to the vendors at this show. I like to talk to people while I'm there, and it was interesting because the parking lot was packed. It took me a while to find a parking spot. It was real busy. But talking to some of the comic vendors, some of them said that they were doing really well. Some of them said it was really slow. I don't know what the reasoning was for that, if it was certain types of books they were selling or prices or what. But the interesting thing with this show is split half with cards, like sports cards, Pokemon, that kind of thing, and half with comics. And so some were saying it's possible that just the card side was the really busy side this time. But the last time I was there earlier in February, it was packed. The comic side was packed. You know, and I picked up some stuff. I picked up 4 books. Like I said, I spent about $1,000. But since I just got 4 books here and I had some boxes I'd wanted to open, or a box I'd wanted to open, I also got this here. And there are 2 books in here, so I'll go over these as well later, because one of these books is going to be on my keeper list because it goes well with another book that I have. So I was pretty excited to pick that one up. Now let's get started with these 4 books that I picked up. The first one here is Tales of Suspense number 9. Now this one is actually, it's missing a piece from an ad page, so it doesn't affect the story or anything like that. But this is pretty early Marvel. This is pre-hero Marvel, or the monster type Marvel. And this is from 1960, and it says it has what's called like a prototype Iron Man in it. Now, I'll show you what the pieces that's missing on the interior, and I'll show you that what I think is probably what they're talking about, the prototype Iron Man. So you'll see that with a lot of these pre-hero Marvel books, is there'll be like a prototype Hulk or a prototype Spider-Man or Loki or the Watcher. It's like they were playing with characters that they ended up using in the hero storylines later. So here's this one. You know, it presents real well. Covers attached, centerfolds attached. It's got this on the second, or on the last page. It's got this piece right here that's been torn out. You know, from whatever the person was buying here, or trying to win. You may win this $430 scholarship. They probably were trying to win that scholarship, I guess, and they mailed that in. But it's actually, this last page here is also what I think is the prototype Iron Man. It's a story called, and I could be wrong, but it's called The Return of the Living Robot. This is the only one that really seemed to fit that. You can see you've got this guy up here that's got kind of like robot parts to him. And so I think that's probably this like prototype Iron Man character. That's what I think it probably is. But you'll see that, like I said, with a number of these pre-hero Marvel books. And this one is, possible prototype Iron Man, which was 30 issues later in Tales of Suspense 39. But that was the first book that I picked up. So then I think the next vendor that I went to is actually someone that I bought a couple books from the first time that I went to this show. And this is a pretty cool book. I have owned this one time before. This is a Golden Age book. It was used in Seduction of the Innocent, which is basically what was used to help drive the creation of the Comics Code Authority. And this is Rangers Comics number 38. You can see pretty violent cover, hanging cover. Also, you'd call it kind of like a good girl art type cover. But somebody got, real happy with it's like, I think it's actually they drew it. It almost looks like a stamp because there's so many, but for some reason writing number 5 and 1947 all over the cover of this. But otherwise, a really solid presenting copy other than this printer crease. I actually want to show you what this looks like out of the bag, because this one, it looks incredible out of the bag. It's crazy. So here's the book. And what I mean is, like, look at how you can see like the printing layers, the layers on this cover. It's crazy. It's like this thing, the ink it's almost like it was like untouched, despite all the drawing and stuff that was on this one, or the handwriting that's on this one. But man, just when I took this out, it almost feels like it's fake. It looks so nice. It's really incredible. But yeah, just kind of an example of the interior. Here's the interior of this book. But I don't know what the opening splash is for this one. Pretty cool. It's a fire hair opening splash page. There you go. But yeah, I mean, the color is just super bright. The gloss is just nuts on this one. So I thought this was a cool book to pick up. This is one of those, for people that are interested in the, history of comic stuff, that look to pick up the comics, the Sodi books, Seduction of the Innocent books. This is a pretty cool one from that, because it just has such a, the cover that just stands out so much. But yeah, I thought this one, just with the colors and everything on it, was a really impressive book. I think I picked this one up for $175 is what I paid for this copy.
2,000 years later.
All right, I just had to cut away there. I was bidding on something on eBay and it was just ending, and so I actually won the book, so I'm pretty excited about that one. That's gonna be a cool book to get in. All right, now let's talk about the last vendor that I picked books up from, and then we'll go over the 2 books that I picked up from somewhere else. And like I said, one of those is a keeper book. So these ones I basically got as like a package deal. I first saw, this was the first one I saw and ended up picking up that I was interested in, and this is Detective Comics number 286. Cool Batwoman cover, and yeah, pretty solid condition copy. Can't remember what I felt the grade was on it. Maybe like a 5 or something. But let's see. Yeah, I mean, a pretty solid condition copy of this one. So again, you can see like pretty glossy, not any real big creases or anything like that. There's a little one on the bottom back corner there, but overall, really decent presenting copy of this book. And I like getting these kind of like earlier Detective Comics, or like earlier Silver Age Detective Comics, because what year did this one come out? It's 1960. So even though, Marvel was in the pre-hero era still, I mean, DC was still putting out all the hero stuff, but I just want to make sure I'm careful putting this in here. These Mylar bags, I've sliced a book before, put in the Mylar, so I always want to be a little cautious with that. So yeah, so I grabbed this one, and then if you saw early on in the video, I was showing kind of like the preview of the books that I picked up, and this was the one that I kind of teased, and this is Scooby-Doo number 1. This was the bulk of the cost of the books that I picked up. So these 2 combined I got for $750. This one I think might be a 5.5. It's a solid presenting copy. It's got a lot of like pressable defects on the cover. So this one is definitely getting pressed. This one's going into the comic book presser, and I'm gonna have this one pressed and cleaned and then graded, because I've got another copy of this. My other copy is a 5.0 that I've considered cracking, but I've decided not to, because I don't know, I don't want to risk it. But it definitely has a lot of pressable defects on it as well. Probably wasn't pressed before it was sent in, from what I could tell. but this one's a 5.0, and this one I feel like presents better. Like this one has less overall flaws than this one. This one has some bigger creases kind of down on the bottom there, you can see, and that bottom staple has a lot of wear, whereas this one doesn't have any major creasing like that. It has these two little ones down in the corner, but a lot less major creasing to this book. And the back was fine too. It needs to be cleaned. It definitely is a book that needs to, you know, have the dry cleaning, that kind of thing done to it. So here you can get a better idea of, like, I had some people ask, like, how do I decide what gets pressed, that kind of thing. Like, this is something where you can tell it will benefit significantly from pressing. All kinds of little indentations, dimpling, all that kind of stuff. That can all be pressed out and can make this book look much, much better. And then the back cover here, you can see nothing really significant that stands out, but if you get close, you can see there's, let's see if I can get it to focus, like there's all this like dirt, you know, these little grayish black smudges that are on the back. All that stuff can be cleaned up with the, you know, the dry cleaning. The only, like, I call it like major, and it's not even a major flaw, there's a tiny, I don't know if it'll focus, there's a tiny little tear, maybe a 1/4 inch, something like that on the bottom of the spine. But I think this is a book that's going to clean up really, really well. You can see the interior here. So yeah, just like, you know, it's the same as Scooby and, you know, and all that kind of stuff that you're used to from, you know, the cartoons and all that kind of thing. This is just this is the first appearance of Scooby in comics. Scooby and all the, you know, Scooby and the gang in comics. And this is from 1970. So it's just inches into the Bronze Age. It's not technically a Silver Age book, just inches in to the Bronze Age. But yeah, this is one I am definitely sending in to get pressed and cleaned and graded. And I just sent in a ton of books, so it's probably going to be a little bit before I get this one graded, just because I kind of like to wait till I build up some books again. I do have another set because I want to send in all those magazines, and so I might send in these comics to get pressed at the same time. But yeah, so this was the other, this was the big book that I picked up from that show. But yeah, $750 for these two. I felt like that was a great price, so I was happy to pick those up. It was funny, the guy that I bought it from, he said he was going through his boxes and he didn't realize he had this one. He said he had probably passed over it a number of times because I think it's issue 7 that has a very similar look, and he said he probably thought it was issue 7 every time he saw the red, but it was actually issue 1, which is, I mean, it's an expensive book, especially if you get into like really high grades. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars when you get into really high grades for that book. But yeah, now let's go over what's in here, because there are 2 books in here. Like I said, one of them is a keeper for me, and part of the reason I have it as a keeper is because of the other book that I have as one of my keepers. I think that these two go really, really well together, so I think that'll be cool. I've bid on this one maybe one other time. The keeper book is a Golden Age book. The other one that's in here is a Silver Age book. I'll try to just cut through this tape. The other one is a Silver Age book, but this keeper one that I picked up does not come up for sale very often, and so I was pretty happy to be able to get a chance to get this one, and felt like it went for a great price. So I ended up winning it and taking it home. So I'm going to start with the Silver Age book. Yeah, it looks awesome. All right, that looks so cool. So I'm going to start with the Silver Age book. This is a pretty big book too. So yeah, looks great. This is X-Men number 14 in a 9.2, first appearance of the Sentinels. I love these Kirby red covers. X-Men 14 and X-Men 12 are some great ones. This is definitely the highest grade copy of number 14 I've ever had. I had a 8.5 that I sold, I don't know, a while ago. But yeah, 9.2, just a stunning copy of this book. So, and you can tell it's been graded recently. It's got the little QR code on the back there, off-white to white pages. I would say definitely has been pressed, you know, like, and I can kind of just tell just the way the staples look, and they're kind of, I don't know, just kind of like smushed in a little bit. You know, they get that look like the book has been pressed. But the spine looks really, really nice. I mean, you'd expect it to with a 9.2. But yeah, really, really solid copy of this book. So that was a cool book to win. Now, let's talk about the other book here. Because that's not the keeper. This one is the keeper book.
A few moments later.
All right, so here it is. This is Large Feature Comics number 16. Now, for one, it's just an awesome Donald Duck cover, just with the solid yellow background. I think it looks really, really sharp. I really like this one. Especially this is a big book. Like, it's got 3 staples. Those are the original staples. You know, it's not like somebody added extras there. It's a 3 staple book. Now, the thing they don't really have any notes on this one, but what this is this is the first appearance of Daisy Duck in comics. And it's on the back cover, which is also cool because that means you actually have a cover appearance for her first appearance from 1941. So here's the story where you have the first appearance of Daisy Duck and you have Donald meeting her, where he ends up smacking her with this this board on the fence. So, you know, yeah, great impression that Donald makes first time he meets Daisy Duck. But yeah, that's the back cover. So that's really cool. It's like a comic strip on the back that is her first comic appearance. The front is this incredible Donald Duck cover. And so the other book that I have that's on my keeper list that I said I felt this would just go really well with and look nice next to, and they're both 4.5s, is my Walt Disney's Comics and Stories #1. So this is the Walt Disney's Comics and Stories #1, basically solid red cover for the most part with Donald on it where he's opening that page. I love this book. This is one I had been trying to get one of these for a pretty long time, and then, you know, to have this one to go next to it, you know, I think those two right next to each other look really, really sharp. So I thought that this would be a super fun book to pick up, and, you know, an awesome one for the, you know, the keeper list. 4.5 creamed off white pages. This one's 4.5 off white pages. But yeah, 2 Donald Duck like key issues, and yeah, super happy with these. I think it's, yeah, just awesome books to have together. So that's the new keeper book that I have added to my collection. Goes with my Walt Disney's Comics and Stories #1. So real happy about those. You know, some other cool books, just these, you know, books from the show, especially the Scooby-Doo #1. I think that's a big one. And then the Seduction of the Innocent book is a pretty cool one too. And then, I mean, not to crap on the 9.2 X-Men #14. Yeah, I mean, like I said, by far the highest grade copy of this one that I've ever owned. Just a stunning copy, amazing reds on this cover, and yeah, so some cool books in this one. Hope you enjoyed seeing these. Maybe, you know, if you haven't seen that large feature comic number 16 before, I mean, that's one you don't see come up for sale very often. So when I saw it, definitely caught my attention. But hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video.